The good news is I feel like because we're not a consumer facing brand, I feel like I could call the company like Monkey Butt and our clients know us. They know us as humans, not so much what the entity is called. Like I literally feel like we could call the entity anything and they'd be like, well,
Well, you can't call it monkey butt because there's actually a product called monkey butt. So We Are Warrington is a new podcast that helps young business leaders discover what is possible by highlighting stories from the Warrington College of Business community about the University of Florida experience, business industry, insights, innovative research, and more. I'm your host, Andy Lord. Today we are speaking with Kim Cobb, an entrepreneur, speaker, teacher, and UF alumna. In addition to running the Superfan Company, a fan engagement agency focused on creating products, programs, and strategies for entertainers and brands, Kim serves up street smart business education in her weekly live series Coffee with Kim, as well as her entrepreneurship focused courses on LinkedIn Learning. You might also recognize her from Shark Tank, where she secured offers from 4 out of the 5 sharks. Previously, she was named in Inc.'s 35 Under 35, Advertising Ages 40 Under 40, and Forbes 30 Under 30. We're going to be talking with Kim about business and entrepreneurship tips and tricks, as well as how to set yourself up for success in 2021 and beyond. Here we go. Kim, welcome to the podcast. Happy New Year. What are you excited for in 2021?
what is there not to be excited about in 2021? I feel like we are all ready to turn over an amazing new leaf and fill these next 12 months with so much positivity and so much of a go-getter attitude. I'm really excited for everybody to jump into this new year with maybe a little more vigor than they have in years past.
I like that answer. I agree. I think we are all excited for a change. I think we're all getting excited hopefully about a potential vaccine, maybe life getting back to normal. I think we're all experiencing so much that we've learned over this past year and moving into the new year. How are we going to take all of these different ideas, waves of moving around in the world, and move forward with our lives? So I definitely think that's something that we should all be excited about.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited for our new normal. And it's something that I've been stressing to a lot of people lately that we are going to enter a new normal. But I think it's a new normal filled with amazing opportunities. I think it's a new normal filled with gaps for people to fill through entrepreneurship and innovation. And it's also going to lead to a lot of forward thinking by Fortune 500 companies and companies who perhaps in the past did not have to be as innovative or have to think as much that they will have to do going into 2021.
Absolutely agree with you on that. And, clearly learning about your company, I've just been a little bit going, God, I don't know what the heck is this all going to turn back around. You directly work with these artists, you directly work with these festivals, everything that is going on in the entertainment industry is just flipped upside down. And must be tough, for you, and typically I ask finding motivation in times like these. And I guess, how do you find your motivation in a time like this?
I'm excited. I feel like I maybe I'm glass half full, but I think one of our biggest frustrations in the business is that you're constantly trying to innovate and people are constantly, which I get, they have corporate jobs, they work at these big entertainment companies. Their job is to keep their job.
Right.
Their job is to do just good enough, but not bad, but not be too risky that they like keep their job, make their bonus, get to the next year. So sometimes when you come with these innovations and new ideas, they're like, well, I don't want to do that. Like that's way too radical, or that's way too risky, or that's way too, let's just do what we did last year. Let's wash, rinse, repeat, change a couple things, do the same thing. And so I know in 2011, when I first started the company, it was really exciting because Napster and iTunes and Spotify in 2011 was just coming over from the UK. forced the industry to innovate. Like they didn't want to innovate, but like they had to. These external forces of Spotify of made them innovate. And so I sort of see the same thing happening here. Like they would have been really happy to just keep on keeping on, but these outside forces, this COVID is forcing them to be like, we have to rethink fan engagement and we have to rethink. So I actually feel like it's going to be really exciting. I feel like next year people are going to be really open to new ideas. They're going to be open to new ways of thinking about things in a way that they just weren't. They just were not last year, because the truth of the matter is people say that they want to innovate and people say that they want to be first. And one of the very first questions I get, like people say, oh, Kim, have you and your team give us a big new idea. We work for weeks, we bring back this big new idea. And the first thing is they say is, we love it. This is amazing. Who's done it before? Did Selena Gomez do this? Has Justin Bieber done this? And it's like, no, well, no one's done it. Like,
Right.
we came up with it for you because you asked us to come up with a big new idea. And it's like, oh, well, we can't do it. There's no proof. I actually think it's going to be really exciting. I think we're going to end up doing a lot more consulting work. I think we're going to be doing a lot more brainstorming, a lot more helping companies think through, what does this new plan look like? What does this new engagement look like? As opposed to, hey, Kim, we saw what you did for Mumford and Sons. Can you do the same thing for us?
Right.
I think there's going to be less of that because people can't really do that anymore.
Yeah, the hit factory's changing. It seems like you got to sort of obviously progress and move on and do things a little differently. For you, did you come up with any New Year's resolutions, let's say? What's new for you this year?
Let's put it this way. I've had a lot of time to think about my New Year's resolution. I've had some good thinking time, some good meditation time on what my New Year's resolution is going to be.
Nice.
I always have many. I think one that is sort of a constant is I usually try to pick one or two learning opportunities. So last year it was really reading more books,
Right.
or listening on Audible, consuming more books. Well, the universe heard me, and boy, did I have more time to consume more books. Let me tell you what. So I have to be careful about what my
Right.
resolution is.
Yeah, dude, don't do that to us again, Kim. Come on.
Because if the universe hears you and it brings it right back, you're like, I kind of wished for this. My bad, everybody. I think we always say, oh, I need to spend more time with my friends and family. But I think as we get into a vaccine and as we sort of loosen up gatherings and travel restrictions, it has, as cheesy as it sounds, put in a really new perspective with me of how much time am I spending with my parents? How much time am I spending with my family? Really looking at where the time is going. I heard a really great speech the other day, and I can't remember who said it. They were saying, if on average you see your family twice a year, and let's say you see them for, I don't know, a week. That's a really long time. And most people don't even see their family for 2 weeks out of the year, but let's say 2 weeks. And let's say your parents are in their 60s or their 70s. And let's say, being super generous, they have another 20 years to live. Let's say they live into their 90s or something like that, or their late 80s, their 90s. So, okay, they have 20 years to live and you're seeing them for 2 weeks every year. You break that down, you have 40 more weeks with them. Like, that's it. You don't get more time than that. So really sort of prioritizing, like, okay, I know I wanted to do that weekend getaway with my friends and that'd be really fun, but maybe I'll use that long weekend to go see my parents instead, like that one extra time. So I feel like in COVID, I've really had the opportunity to rethink where my time allotment is going and maybe how I want to position that going into 2021.
That's pretty prophetic right there. That's pretty awesome.
Sort of depressing. Everyone's like, God, what a downer.
It's not. It's just, you say something like that, and obviously my wheels are spinning now, going, holy moly. However, I live up here in Gainesville, and my mom's up the street in Alachua, so I deal with her on a weekly basis because she can't get enough of me. But realizing how important that is, for sure. And you mentioned to me, I believe before we got started, you're down in West Palm right now, which is your hometown, your stomping grounds. You're down there with your parents. How's that been? Has it been great?
Yeah, it's been amazing. I love Florida. I love West Palm Beach. Obviously, Gainesville always holds a special place in my heart. I was so excited because 2020, a group of my friends and I were all supposed to go to a game. Sadly, that all got washed, but hopefully in the 2021 season or maybe 2022, who knows, we will be able to get down for a game because I do love Gainesville. But I love West Palm. It was such a formidable time for me and years growing up. So I love coming back here and revisiting my roots, which sounds
Right.
poetic.
No, I think that's great, and this helps move right into your UF roots. So you're graduating high school down in West Palm. The University of Florida is on the horizon. Can you break that down for us? Is that your number one choice? Is that where you wanted to be? How did that lead to the decision of entering UF and earning a marketing degree?
So both my mom and my dad went to UF.
Go Gators!
While we did tour other schools and went and looked at UCF, I will say both of my parents actually refused to take me to FSU to look at the school.
That happens to a lot of Gator families. We get it.
But I looked at a bunch of schools and it was really, I think Florida has an amazing program called Bright Futures. If anybody doesn't know about it, it's an amazing program that if you get over a certain GPA, you will get either 75% or 100% of your college tuition paid for. I think UF was always somewhere that obviously my parents were really hoping I would go. And when you add in that it was 100% free, as opposed to maybe some of the other schools I was looking at where you're paying out of state fees, which are exorbitant, it kind of turned into a very easy no-brainer.
Gotcha. So why marketing? There's so many options. What was it about business that attracted you?
I have loved marketing and events my entire life. And I feel that it was rare in that I had a lot of friends who also attended UF that changed their major once, changed their major twice, sometimes even three times of, I started on PR, but now I think I want to go into this. And now I actually think I want to go into that. And I was very fortunate, starting from around age 12, 13, I was in the zone. I had tunnel vision. I wanted to work at a magazine. I loved magazines. I loved publishing. I loved marketing. I loved events. And it was like, that was it. It was like love at first sight. There was no other, consideration or things that I wanted to do. And yeah, from age 12 to my first job, all of my internships, everything, it was marketing, 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 magazines, magazines, magazines. That was the only thing I did.
I got to talk to you about Gainesville, Kim. So you said you were a bookworm while you were here, but Gainesville is an amazing place, and I always ask people what they loved about Gainesville, why they were here, what they liked to do, even if it was a restaurant or a park or how you spent your, free time, if you did have any. What did you like to do here in Gainesville?
I know. I got very lucky. I graduated in '08. So I always tell people, I had 3 football championships, 2 basketball championships, went to school when it was, uh, Tim Tebow days and Urban Meyer. And, felt like, wow, how does no one like love this so much? It's just the best thing ever. And then I realized, oh, most schools don't win a national championship every single year. And so then I realized, oh, maybe I just hit it at a good time.
There you go. And then after all those wins and championships, you realize and wake up, it's 2008. We're in a financial crisis. Kim Kalp's about to graduate. Holy moly, what happens? How did you make your way out into the real world in 2008? It's such an interesting time and a scary time all wrapped up again. Can you address that for us here?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, it feels like deja vu.
Right?
I feel like people right now are experiencing the same thing. And to quote Jake Chapper, it's a dumpster fire inside a train wreck, it's a hot mess. Like
Yes, it is.
it was a hot mess in 2008. I mean, I had friends who were graduating from UF unemployed for months and months
Oh,
and
yeah.
months and months. I, again, through internships and connections, the woman that I had interned for the last 2 years, it took a few months, but she was able to create a position at her organization. It was full-time freelance, which for anybody who doesn't know is basically you're going to work a full-time job. You're going to work 9 to 5, 5 days a week, but somehow through some loops of government craziness, we're not going to pay your health care. We're not going to give you any benefits. But you're going to work full time, but you're not going to be our employee and we're not responsible for you. So I worked at Condé Nast in a full-time freelance position for probably close to 9 months before they had the overhead and bandwidth to bring me on in a proper full-time position. But it was a rough, it was a rough go. And I think that that's kind of, it was a big learning lesson for me that thank God I had interned with this woman over 2 years. Thank God that I had stayed in touch with her. Thank God that I had the wherewithal at age 21 to say, let me continue to talk to this woman. I know a lot of people who I look at their resumes and I say, oh, wow, this internship that you did last summer, it was so great. Like, are they hiring? And people go, oh, I don't know. I've never talked to them again. It's like, what? You had an internship for 3 months and then you just left? And it was like, yeah, I left because I don't know, got back with my own life and out of sight, out of mind. And I'm just going,
Yeah. Bad idea.
and I say all the time, I have no problem with you leaving a job. I have no problem with you leaving an internship, whether it's on bad terms or good terms. But whatever you do not leave the people.
Right.
Leave the job. Don't leave the people. And there's especially no excuse when we have things like LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, whatever your social media tool of choice is. There is no excuse for you to not stay in touch with people. I feel like LinkedIn is such, if I could wish one thing for 2021 for anybody listening to this, I would say if you are sleeping on LinkedIn, if you are not active, if you have not signed in, if you have not updated it, you are missing out. There is so much organic reach right now. There's so much organic networking going on. It is such, I don't know if many people know this, but about 2 or 3 years ago, LinkedIn was bought by Microsoft.
Yep.
Microsoft has been pumping millions and millions of dollars into updating the technology, making it faster, making it more robust, making the analytics better. And I know tons of friends who've gotten connected with recruiters and jobs and opportunities or help or internships. And it's all because of LinkedIn. So I tell people, I'm such a bully about it. I mean, honestly, like I have friends who, if I see their LinkedIn is kind of shabby, I will bully them to no end. Like, you got to clean this up. We got to fix this up. It's like having a house with a broken door. We got to fix your door. Door's looking like crap. So I have a download. It's the first thing when you go onto my website that pops up. And it's like the 5 things that you can do on your LinkedIn, maybe in less than 30 minutes, 45 minutes, that's going to set you up for success. And what I tell people is I don't want to hear you complain about your work or about your career or about your school for one more second until that's cleaned up. If that's cleaned up, complain all you want. But if you're not going to put yourself out there so that opportunities and good fortune can find you, you don't have a hall pass to complain with me.
You hear that, Gator Nation? Listen to Kim. Clean up your LinkedIn. Personally, my windows are shattered in my LinkedIn house. I don't even think I have a roof on it. Kim, I'm going to actually go and check out your 5 steps towards LinkedIn greatness whenever we're off of this. Kim, back to you. So you leave UF, you get a job through your internship connections. Where does that carry you? Does that take you to New York City to start your life up there?
Yes, that takes me to New York City. So I moved to New York in September of 2008. So I graduated in May.
Okay.
Finally left in September because all that time I was unemployed. And I got that job at Condé Nast. And I was at Condé Nast for about 2.5 years. and really just felt like I was getting to the point where I wasn't learning anything anymore. And to me, the biggest proponent of you at a job is that you're learning, you're enjoying yourself, you're enjoying the people that you're around, you feel challenged, you feel like you're working on new skills. And I just felt like I had kind of hit a block with that. And so I ended up taking another job very hastily, huge mistake. I don't know. I was 24 years old and probably a little more flippant. And a friend of a friend, again, going back to connections, I was complaining at a lunch. I love to complain at lunches with my friend saying, like, I've hit this glass ceiling and what am I going to do? And she kind of all of a sudden was like, oh my gosh, it's so funny you mentioned that. I was at a dinner last night and a friend is looking for somebody at this experiential agency. Let me connect you with them. I was like, wait, I don't even have a resume together. I was just complaining, my favorite hobby, like what's going on? And long story short, fast forward 2 weeks later, I accepted a job. Like it was very fast. I didn't do a ton of research, huge mistake. There are great websites like glassdoor.com or themuse.com where you can research companies. I did none
Right.
of that. I don't know. I was like, ad agency, I've seen a Mad Men episode. I'm going to be John Hamm drinking whiskey. That sounds fun. Why not? And I joined this ad agency and very quickly, I mean, like in the first 10 days, I was like, oh no, I'm not John Hamm. I'm not drinking whiskey. And this is not at all like the TV.
Right.
And I thought to myself, holy moly, I've gotten myself in a bit of a pickle. And I think the only solution to this pickle is I am going to call my old boss and I'm going to cry. Uh, and I'm going to grovel and I'm going to say, I made a huge mistake. Can I have my job back? That did not sound that fun, shockingly. Didn't sound like something I really wanted to do. But I was like, I kind of have no choice. And right at that moment, the girl sitting next to me was saying, whoa, 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 at this ad agency, before you call your old boss back and cry and grovel, come out to drinks with me. I have this crazy idea. I actually think you might be a good person to help me with it. So I went to drinks with her. I mean, she's basically a stranger. And I was like, what do you got? And she pitched me this idea. And I was like, great. Well, statistically, like 93% of startups fail in the first year. That's just math. I was like, okay, great. This could be interesting. What if I start this company with this girl? It will fail because 93% of startups do. But then when I call my old boss and grovel, I'll have a really funny story that for the first 2 or 3 months, I started a company that like didn't work. And that's why I left, to like scratch my entrepreneurial itch. But now I'm back and I want my job back. So that at the time to me sounded like, well, obviously that's the way to go. Go back with a funny story, not go back with I'm a huge idiot. And that was 9 years ago. And luckily we were one of the really lucky companies that are part of the 7% that don't fail, but I had every intention of it failing.
So that is when the birth of an entrepreneur happened, over drinks with some strange friend from an ad agency job that you were not liking very much. Before we take a break, Kim, I do want to jump into, I mentioned in your intro, you were on Shark Tank. So clearly in the midst of the drinks with the friend that you're having there, you're birthing an idea, and somehow now you're pitching it to some sharks on Shark Tank. What was that like?
Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. I have a love-hate relationship with the show. I love it because it promotes entrepreneurship and is certainly better than people watching the Kardashians. I hate it in that, it makes people think that in 8 minutes you can raise $100,000 for your company. That's not realistic. Again, it's reality TV
Right.
reason. That's not actually how business works. You don't walk into a meeting and 8 minutes later walk out with a check. So, I have a love-hate relationship, but the show was an amazing experience. We had a blast. It's sort of the gift that keeps on giving because the episode re-airs every 6 to 8 weeks. So I will continue to get screenshots on people's phones or, TVs at home that I all of a sudden pop up on their screen, which is really fun. And the way we got onto the show is a little bit unusual than most people because we did not apply to be on the show. We did not try to get on the show. We were on Inc. magazine's 35 under 35 list in 2014. And as part of that list, they did a little write-up on you as a feature in the magazine. And out of the 35 other companies and people, founders that were on that list with us, 34 of them had raised funds. We were the only one that was bootstrapped or had not raised any traditional venture capital. And so one of the producers on Shark Tank happened to pick up that copy of Inc. magazine and was reading through it and contacted us and said, "Is this a mistake? Is this a misprint in the magazine? Is it true that you don't have any investors?" And we wrote back saying, "It's not a mistake. We don't have any investors. We've never had any investors. We're just kind of chugging along, bootstrapping it." And they said, "Well, would you be interested in coming on the show? Would you be open to investors?" And that is really how the conversations kicked off.
That's pretty amazing. So, do you have any advice, let's say, to other entrepreneurs that are looking to pitch their ideas, whether it's the sharks or not? Obviously you created a pitch, worked out. What would you say to an aspiring entrepreneur whenever they're seeking that seed funding, venture capital, whatever it might be?
I would say, as much as you can, do research, don't reinvent the wheel. So do research from other organizations. And what I mean by that is a lot of times people will think, well, I want to go out and raise money, or well, I want to go out and pitch my idea. So let me just go to the top, 5 VC firms that I can Google. And instead, I would say, look at what kind of company you're trying to start, look at what kind of product you're trying to build, and see who is similar in that space. So if I'm a cupcake company in West Palm Beach and I want to start a cupcake shop, maybe look at a pie shop or another bakery or a bread maker and see, well, who did they raise funds from, or who did they get funds from? Because chances are, if someone is willing to invest in a pie company, or someone's willing to invest in a bread company, a cupcake company is not that far off. So if you can find out who their investors were and go after their investors, you already know that they're probably warm to at least what industry you're in. A lot of VCs and capital firms will focus on certain areas. So, well, this firm is really known for doing consumer products. This firm is really known for tech. This firm is really well known for healthcare. This firm is really well known for fashion. So find out who your people are. And I think, again, the easiest way to do that is find what might be considered competitors or close enough competitors and see what they did and copy their homework.
Again, great advice. Thanks, Kim. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of Kim Kaup in just a minute. The new year is a great time to think about ways to better yourself. Education is a surefire way to bring about a brighter future, and here at the Warrington College of Business, we have plenty of opportunities for you to do so. At Warrington, we offer multiple MBA program formats and 8 specialized master's degrees, all of which will increase your knowledge, skill set, and according to a study by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, your average weekly pay. So if you want to invest in yourself in this new year, consider a graduate degree from the University of Florida, Warrington College of Business. To learn more about Warrington's graduate degrees, head over to the link in this episode's description. Welcome back to We Are Warrington. I'm chatting with entrepreneur and Warrington alum Kim Kaup. Kim, I want to get back into what we touched on before the break, the beginnings of your entrepreneurial career. Obviously, quitting a job to create your own business is a big step. So how did you, make that step or transition, overcome fears of an uncertainty, and staying motivated, pursuing it, knowing that where's my next check going to come from? I'm only assuming that must be something that you're thinking about. So how did you manage? How did you maneuver during that time?
So I always say there's sort of 2 camps of entrepreneurs. There is the camp of quit your job, follow your passion, go after what you want 110% or don't go at all. Then there's the camp of like, have the side hustle, test the waters, see if you can get there, kind of do the corporate thing and do the side hustle. I fall into the latter camp. I'm definitely more of like, listen, if you're independently wealthy, go for it. Quit your job tomorrow and start that cupcake business. More power to you. But most people are not independently wealthy. Most people have to pay rent or a mortgage or a car payment or car insurance or whatever it is. And I can tell you firsthand, starting a company is stressful enough. That's already stress. We've already cut 100% stress right there.
Right.
You don't need one more ounce of stress other than all the stress that the company is going to bring. So the stress of how am I going to make the car payment? How am I going to pay mortgage? How am I going to pay my rent? How am I going to eat? That's all on top of the regular stress from the company. So I'm in the camp of keep your corporate job or whatever job you're doing as long as humanly possible. So you don't have to worry about rent and you don't have to worry about your 401k and you don't have to worry about whatever else. And that's what we did. So we kept our corporate jobs. Like I said, I started that job in October of 2008. I did not officially quit until March of 2011, even though we
Wow.
started
Okay.
the company in January. So I stayed on for 3 months at the corporate job and instead worked nights and weekends, my lunch break, etc., just trying to hustle. And don't get me wrong, like you're tired. You don't get to see your friends. So that's why I always say, whatever your idea is, cupcake shop, app product, whatever, you better love it. And I mean, love it enough that like, if you lose 2 hours of sleep, you're like, I don't care. I still love it. Kind of like having a baby. It's like, I'm sleep deprived, but I love you. And so it was only in March I had, thankfully had saved money from my corporate jobs over the years that I was like, okay, I'm going to quit this job. And I know that I have, 2 months rent. I have 2 months worth of kind of all my expenses saved up, my rainy day funds, and I got to make this work. And I also say, if you can kind of think about your worst case scenario, it's another really great exercise for anybody who's thinking of starting an entrepreneurial journey or really just anything new in general. I have friends who say, I've been working in accounting for years, but now I think I want to be a yoga instructor. And I recommend the same thing to them, which is think about your worst case scenario. And your worst case scenario is, okay, let's say I quit my accounting job because I want to go be a yoga instructor. Okay, well, now I don't have that 5-figure, 6-figure salary anymore. Okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, well, now I can't go out to eat as much because I don't have that income. Or now I have to downsize my apartment because I don't have that income. And you sort of play this game like an onion with yourself. Well, what does that mean? Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? And when it boils down to, okay, I can be a yoga instructor, but I'm going to go out to eat less. I'm going to have one vacation a year instead of two. And I'm going to have to downsize my apartment. And if that worst case scenario to you still sounds pretty good, like, that's doable. I can take one less vacation a year and like, but I'll get to be a yoga instructor. So that's totally awesome. Then go for it. But if that worst case scenario game, you get to the end and you're like, oh no, like, ooh, like if I become an entrepreneur, I'm going to have to like give up my fancy car and I'm going to have to like work 2 side jobs or whatever that scenario is for you. If you kind of get to the end of that game and you're like, ooh, I don't actually want to do that, maybe think twice, because if you prepare for the worst case scenario and you can stomach it, then jumping into entrepreneurship isn't as scary, because even if everything goes wrong and everything fails, your worst case scenario isn't that bad.
I know we're specifically talking about you pitch an idea on Shark Tank, and here's your big idea, and whether you wanted to address Superfan Company Zine-Pack at the time, more than welcome to. But, what I've learned about our earlier conversations with you is that you're multifaceted. You kind of, almost embellish the word entrepreneurship because you do so many different things that surround entrepreneurship for yourself individually. And I think this is a 2-part question. Who is Kim Kaup? What are you doing on all of those different aspects of your life and all of those pursuits that you have? And then the other side is, then how do you structure your day and balance everything in order to accomplish all of these tasks that you actually lay before yourself?
I think at the heart of it, what I really have become extremely passionate about is having other people learn from my mistakes. And I think it's something that helped me so much when other people would again kind of real talk with me and show me the
Right.
warts and show me the pimples and show me the blemishes. I think maybe a more esoteric conversation, but it seems like some ways and in life and business, we're all in this filter. We're all in this beautiful Instagram filter that, oh my gosh, I see these Instagram, entrepreneurs and their desks are so neat and like, wow,
Right.
entrepreneurships look so great and filtered and sexy and wonderful and they're happy and look at their vacation at St. Bart's and wow, is that a flamingo floaty? Like all the things. And I'm more like, this is hard. And like, I haven't seen, my fiance in a week because I've been buried under like a project. And so I really appreciated whether it was mentors or advisors or just other founders who were kind of willing to show me their pimples and their warts a little bit. And what I realized is I feel called to do that for others and to really say, here's not only the bad parts, but here's what's worked. I'm all about copying people's homework because I tried to reinvent the wheel. And let me just tell you, it's expensive, it's costly, and it's annoying. If somebody already has a wheel, go look at their wheel. It's better to succeed with community than to try to become a bombshell by yourself.
Right. So you're benchmarking a heck of a lot with other folks. Okay.
Totally. And in terms of like how I get it all done, I would say I really am a fan of time blocking. Now it's gone to the point where it's probably a little much in that like I block out, eat lunch. I have an eat lunch block.
Good Lord.
From noon to one, I'm eating lunch. Or I'm driving somewhere, or I'm calling, call mom, or, whatever it is. But it really does help me prioritize.
It's actually very inspiring, Kim. For any listeners out there, Kim, can you give them a piece of advice? Do you have any specific one piece of advice that you could tell them?
I'm going to cheat and give you two pieces of advice. So, the first piece of advice is whatever you are thinking about right now, whatever has been on your heart for a couple days or a couple weeks, or you've been mulling it over in your head and you're just thinking, oh, it's going to be so hard or like it's going to be so challenging. I need you to take one baby step to do that because this is the message that it's never going to get easier. You're never going to wake up one day and it's going to be like, well, now the water's warm. Can't wait to jump in. It's always going to be hard. It's always going to be challenging. And that's why we do it. That's why we show up. And I'm not saying you have to tackle it at 100%. I'm saying make a baby step, the smallest of steps. Tell one other person that you're even going to tackle it, that you even hope to do it. Have one person that's going to, check in on you about what about that language you wanted to learn, or what about that side hustle you wanted to start, or what about that, whatever it is that you've been mulling over in your mind. Take a baby step towards that. And the second thing I will say is I cannot stress enough the importance of mentors. And when I start to talk about mentors, people get all freaked out. I don't have a mentor. Where do you find the mentor? How do you get the mentor? Do I have to ask him out on a date? Like, is it a yes or no? Will you be my mentor? Check yes. It doesn't have to be this weird official thing. I have mentors that have absolutely no idea who I am. Literally don't know I exist because I follow Richard Branson. I follow Sarah Blakely on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I get help from her. I get advice from her. She has never met me. She does not know I exist, but I consider her a mentor. In the loveliness of the digital age, you can have mentors that that you don't know, that are far, that are close. So if you don't already have one in 2021, or you already have one and hopefully you can collect a couple more like Pokemon Go, get a couple more while you're at it. But collect as many as you can because they're going to help you infinitely this year.
Incredible. Great advice, Kim. As we're getting to the close of this, I typically ask two questions, and I'll frame it this way for you. And entrepreneurship, investment is a word that people hear a lot. And of course, people tend to think about investment as only being capital, but it goes beyond that. What's something that you're doing right now to invest in yourself?
Wow. I feel like every couple weeks I try to invest in myself in a small way or a large way. I would say recently I downloaded two online courses that I'm really excited to dig into. One is from a woman called Amy Porterfield, and another one is from a woman called Lauren Belgray. And you can look up the entrepreneurs. I follow them both on Instagram, so you can see that I follow them if you're interested. But I'm a big fan of continuing to learn, like I said, not reinventing the wheel. So I actually sign up. I probably spend, and it horrifies some people, but I actually think it's the best use of money I could think of. I probably spend anywhere from $500 to $3,000 a year on education,
Wow.
on learning, on courses I find, master classes, because to me, I think Mark Cuban said this quote once, or it was either Mark Cuban or Richard Branson said, um, I can pay money now. Maybe it was Tony Robbins. I can pay money now and I can learn what that person has worked on for 30 years. So in $500, I can get 30 years worth of knowledge. Or for free, I can spend 30 years trying to figure out and make all the mistakes that this person made, but I'm going to spend 30 years doing it. So there are not many ways in life that we can buy time. I mean, famously, Steve Jobs, one of the most smartest, wealthiest men in the world, sadly died of cancer. You couldn't buy more time on this earth. You cannot buy time. And that is one of the only ways I know of that you can indirectly buy time, because you can buy people's knowledge who've spent decades doing the work.
Love it. And finally, I know we've talked about this a little already, and I always ask my guests about motivation. I think that's such a big part of us all staying positive, moving forward with our lives, our careers, our families, whatever it might be. It's been so insane in 2020. I think anybody could use some advice on how to keep going during tough times. So, for you, what keeps you motivated? How do you just stay so positive and so motivated?
I think what keeps me motivated is probably what keeps a lot of us motivated. And the shocking answer to that is not ourselves. And what I mean by that is you can tell yourself you're going to go to the gym every single day. Oh, I'm going to have six pack abs. I'm going to look like Brad Pitt. I'm going to,
Yeah, I'm already done that.
don't we all look like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're
Yeah.
all Vin Diesel. You can't see us. We're on a podcast. We're totally ripped. And why wouldn't we be?
Right, of course. We have all this extra time on our hands, so
But
I'm doing push-ups right now, as a matter of fact, while I'm talking to you.
exactly. But it's really easy to cancel on yourself and to not go to the gym because you're tired, because you're hungry, because you have one more email to do and you don't go. And then of course you don't have the six pack abs because you don't go and you ate the cookie and whatever. But then when a friend is going to meet you at the gym, you're like, oh, wait, my friend's there. And that's real rude of me not to show up. And then all of a sudden you're dragging your butt to the gym because your friend's there. So when I think about motivation, my biggest piece of advice and where my head goes first is you have to involve another human, because you can say all day, or I can say all day, oh yeah, just like wake up and meditate and then, motivate yourself. Again, going back, I'm secretly lazy. I'm like an undercover lazy person. I I need another human. And chances are, if you're listening to this, it would be helpful, or you also need another human to keep you accountable, to check in with you, to make you honest. So I would say what helps with motivation is tell other humans your goals, what you're interested in, what you want to accomplish, so that they can at least ask you how it's going, period.
I like ending on that. Kim, it's been so awesome talking to you today. I really appreciate all of your time.
Thank you. This was so fun. And I hope that everyone will connect with me on all the various platforms. I spend way too much time on Instagram. I spend probably a healthy amount of time on LinkedIn. So I'm around and love connecting with other Gators and other people who are passionate about business and learning.
Absolutely. So follow her social media at Kim Kalp. Find her on LinkedIn. Listen to her Wednesday coffee chats. All very fantastic stuff. For our listeners who would like to hear more about what our amazing alumni are up to, follow our updates in the Warrington newsroom and on social media. Until next time, stay motivated and keep investing in yourself. And Happy New Year!